Cereal time, cereal time, cereal time, whoa.
We're out the Weetabix. Sometimes I like to crumble up the Weetabix in the blood.
What's up, cereal heads? Today we're going to talk about Weetabix cereal. This is one that people from the UK and Australia have been asking about for a while, but I just never got around to covering it because it's not super popular here in the US. In fact, this box I have here that is sold in the US is manufactured in Canada. Weetabix has never really caught on here in the US, but it's extremely popular in other countries all over the world. Let's start off with some history, shall we? So Weetabix, as it was originally called, was developed by Benison Osborne in Sydney, Australia around the mid-1920s. At that time, a health food company under the umbrella of the Seventh-day Adventist Church was selling a wheat biscuit for a breakfast food. But Osborne didn't like the taste, so he set out to make his own. He made this cereal biscuit that he called Weetabix, and it was a hit. So he ended up selling it to the Sanitarium Health Food Company. He expanded to New Zealand with the factory and then South Africa. There in South Africa, he sold it to Bokimo, one of the largest cereal producers in Africa. Osborne was on a roll, so in 1932, he went to London and slightly refined the biscuit, and then he started a company there and deemed it Weetabix to differentiate it from the version sold in New Zealand, South Africa, or Australia. They also tried their hands in the States trying to bring it here in the 30s, but the venture was unsuccessful. We already had plenty of cereals here and people just weren't interested. However, they did circle back to North America in the 60s. In 1967, they started producing it in Canada, which helped it enter the US market a year later. But again, Weetabix never really caught on here. But it did remain a huge success abroad. If you're from the UK, you probably have some fond memories of this breakfast biscuit growing up. And apparently they had some great commercials for this stuff in the 80s over there with some animated biscuits. Here, take a look at this commercial.
I see titty breakfasts.
We'd better tell them.
We're not airy-fairy cereals, all right? Because we're the Weetabix.
We're not nothing breakfast.
We've got a bit of bite. We're the Weetabix.
Yeah.
If you want to feel like full,
What he's trying to say, you make it neat wheat, mate.
if you know what's good for you, you do.
Okay.
We're the Weetabix. Okay? It's your neat wheat, mate. If you know what's good for you, the Weetabix.
Okay.
I definitely recognize one of those voices as Bob Hoskins, who became famous over here after the animated movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. They have a few more of those fun 80 commercials online that you can go watch, and even though they kind of seem like a gang of skinheads, I still appreciate the animated mascots. I think by the 90s they started marketing it more just to adults, but adults and kids alike love this stuff. Nowadays they have a few varieties of Weetabix. Along with the classic, they have crispy minis, which are just little sweeter, bite-sized versions of the biscuit. There's been a chocolate version, a banana version, as well as some others too. And they even introduced Weetabix in the UK in the 2000s, which was just a similar version of the cereal, but made with oat instead of wheat. So we've talked a lot about the history of Weetabix now, but we haven't actually shown or discussed the cereal yet. It's basically a bunch of large wheat biscuits, as you can see here on the front of the box. You pour a few of them into a bowl and then break them up with your spoon. Sort of like how I used to do with shredded wheat back in the days when they had the big shredded wheats. Or you can just eat them as whole biscuits, I guess, but that seems kind of hard to manage. The ingredients for this cereal are whole wheat, barley malt extract, cane sugar, and salt. It's all pretty simple. You can eat it plain with milk or yogurt or jazz it up with a bunch of other ingredients. You can see on the back of the box here they have different suggestions for different days of the week. Bananas and almonds, berries and chia seeds, brown sugar and raisins. Go nuts, the world is your oyster. Though I wouldn't recommend topping it with oysters. Alright, let's open up this stuff and take a look. So you can see inside the box they have 2 packs of the biscuits there. So here's what a bowl of Weetabix looks like. You can see the size of the biscuits. I can only fit a few in the bowl here, so let's start to break them up. A little more manageable now. I think they'll be even easier to break up once we hit them with some milk. So I'm trying to think of what I can compare them to. I guess the closest comparison is just shredded wheat. There's a little sweetness to them, but they are kind of bland, so I understand why they suggest spicing them up with other ingredients. It's okay cereal. I get why it never really caught on here in the US. I feel like if you started with this cereal as a kid, maybe it has some nostalgic properties for you. But here in the US with so many cereals to choose from, a big wheat biscuit like this, it just doesn't do the trick. And after sitting there in milk for a minute, the whole thing turns to mush pretty quickly. I think for me, this is something I would definitely crumble up and put on top of yogurt or something else I wanted to add a weedy, crunchy texture to. But as a plain cereal with milk, it's just not my jam. But when it comes to the global population with this cereal, I'm probably in the minority. What do you think? Do you love Weetabix? Is this something you grew up with? Please educate me and enlighten me in the comments. Alright, that's gonna do it for Weetabix. As always, thank you for watching, and until next time, stay crunchy. I wonder if the UK version is different than this box we get here.